that we do not see what is happening to women and others in the Tigray Ethiopian conflict as completely new. Because once we understand that this is a pattern, that these are expected patterns and outcomes of conflicts, then we also understand that the solutions are also not novel. And whenever they are not being applied, we have to ask why. Because if they are not new problems, then solutions may not be new. But let me just quickly give that broader context in terms of women's experiences. And I just want to make three quick general statements about this. The first is that, yes, women experience conflicts differently from men and others. And when we recognize that, then we'll pay attention to the gendered impacts of war, as well as the gendered impacts of peacemaking and peacekeeping and peace enforcement and all the paraphernalia of making peace are very different and gendered and have different impacts on men, women, and others in society. And this is as a result of two things: their sex, the biological characteristics, which means that what happens to a man's physical body during war is different from what happens to a woman's physical body and the impacts that that can have. And the second reason why this is different is because of their gender in terms of society's definition of femininity and of masculinity and the expectations that come from being male or female. These are the reasons why men and women would experience conflict in different ways. In terms of their sex, their physical characteristics, it is because when men are raped, they cannot be pregnant, even though they can also be, they will be traumatized. And so you see, there are these different outcomes. And men are raped, that is very true, but in far lesser numbers. And women are raped in far higher numbers during conflict because women are seen as the cultural bearers of nationality, of ethnic identity, of the future of a community. And so they are targeted in a way that men may not be targeted. So these are some of the reasons why men and women experience conflicts differently. The second main point I want to make is that the experiences of men and women being different in conflict, especially as we want to focus on women and girls in this discussion, must be situated in a longer trajectory of societal violence against women and girls. In other words, the violence that girls and women experience in conflict is not new to them. It is a continuation of violence that they experience in their everyday lives, violence that pervades their everyday interactions, their everyday existence. What happens during conflict is that this violence becomes concentrated, becomes amplified, becomes more overt, whereas perhaps it was more covert, more hidden in non-conflict situations. So actually violence is a continuum for women and girls. And in conflict, it becomes more obvious and, as I said, perhaps more deadly than. So this is to say, again, that what conflict does is to exacerbate, to bring to the forefront underlying prejudices and discriminations that already affects women and girls in society. In conflict, it's out there. You can obviously see that girls and women have, and I'm deliberately saying women and girls, because a lot of times also, I think that we also forget that age is a fundamental, has a fundamental impact on how people experience conflicts, so to speak. And one case in point is the recent recent case at the ICC of the Ugandan warlord, the Lord's Resistance Army rebel who, of course, his crimes were proven, but because he was a child soldier, the decision of the courts was to soften the repercussions. That's to say that being a child in conflict has specific implications that we need to take into consideration. So women and girls have possibly different and related stories to tell. So I'm just amplifying that sense from the period that there was no war to the period of conflict. And then we must know, and this is the most important part, that that violence persists beyond the end, the formal end of conflict. And whoever is looking, whatever parties, whatever actors may be involved in looking for solutions, they must plan to manage and to attenuate the violence that continues in the so-called post-conflict era, because it will continue unless specifically understood and addressed.